I mean, he's just smart as an angel to top the lineup, and he's turned them into one of the best offenses in the Major League.
You know, I was reading something today on MLB rumors, and it was an interesting topic. I wanted to see what you would say on it. Josh Hamilton going to the Red Sox. What do you think of that, Chris?
Well, I think that Josh Hamilton, I don't think he's going to re-sign with the Rangers. That's one thing. But I also think that the Red Sox are in a mode where they're kind of in a rebuilding stage. You know, they just dealt Adrian Gonzalez, Carl Crawford, Josh Beckett, and Nick Punto to the Dodgers. Obviously, that opens up some payroll space for them. But it also, you know, shows that this team is not really looking to contend in the coming years. I mean, it's obvious. Obviously, the team has some talent, but it's scattered talent. It's a lot of young talent, and I mean, I don't think. I think that the Red Sox can throw the most money at Josh Hamilton for sure. But if the Rangers don't win it this year, I'm sure Josh Hamilton's going to go somewhere where he knows he has a good chance at getting a ring.
Now, do you think if the Red Sox did get Josh Hamilton, they'll be in contention? Because, you know, getting rid of Adrian Gonzalez, Carl Crawford, Josh Beckett, and the Nick Punto trade, do you think he'll be really good for the Red Sox?
Well, if the Red Sox get him, that's one thing. I think he'd be very good for the Red Sox. Obviously, Adrian Gonzalez did well in his first year with the Red Sox and didn't really have much of a drop-off this season either. And just got traded because the Red Sox are simply out of contention at this point in the season. But I think Josh Hamilton would do well with the pesky pull down in right field, only 302 down the right field line. And I also think he'd do well, you know, going the other way, hitting a lot of balls off the monster, getting a lot of extra base hits at Fenway Park. So I think Josh Hamilton, if he were to become a member of the Boston Red Sox, he would be a very productive player for them. And so I think they'd be contenders. You know, I'm not so sure at this point. The Yankees are going to be up there next year, as are the Rays. And this isn't just a one-year wonder for the Baltimore Orioles. They will be too. The Blue Jays are only going to get better. So, in my opinion, I don't see the Red Sox going out and signing Josh Hamilton, but if they did, it'd certainly be a big boost to the middle of their lineup.
Yeah, and I also want to go another topic on the other Josh Beckett in LA. And, you know, going to the Dodgers, I don't think everyone made a big deal of him. And he's not a very good pitcher, but you don't know what he's going to bring. And that I know he was bad for the Red Sox. And he hasn't been. His first start was okay. People are saying, you know, 5 2/3 with 3 runs. What do you think, Chris? Do you think that's a solid start or an okay start?
I think that Josh Beckett is at a point in his career where, you know, he's looking to win. He got traded to the right situation from the Red Sox to the Dodgers, but let's face it, Josh Beckett is no longer number one. He's going to be the number 2 at best behind Clayton Kershaw in that rotation. Chad Billings is probably going to be out for the season with that elbow injury, so obviously the Dodgers had to do something with that starting rotation, and the rumors are circling that they still are looking for a starting pitcher at this point, with the waiver deadline approaching in about 2 days from now. That's the last time you can make deals if you want that player to be eligible for the playoff roster. And it's not a slam dunk if the Dodgers make the playoffs as well, despite them being only one game out of the wild card picture. You know, they haven't done too well. They lost 6 of their 9 last game. Barely escaped with not getting swept by the Rockies today. But Josh Beckett was added to the Dodgers rotation because he has playoff experience. He's been there before. He's been to a few World Series. He's won a few World Series, 3 with the Marlins, and then 7 with the Red Sox. So, no, Josh Beckett's still a decent pitcher, but he's certainly not what he used to be, and I don't think people should be making such a big deal about it that he was traded to the Dodgers, because the guy does have an ERA over 5, and pitchers with ERAs over usually don't get talked about, but it's just because Josh Beckett was so good in the past, but he's certainly not the same pitcher he was now than he was 5 years ago.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, Chris. You know, people are making such a big deal over this, about just Josh Beckett going. You know, what about Adrian Gonzalez? He's been one of the biggest players that they have gotten, and he's gonna be like, he provides power and contact for this team. and they needed a first baseman, and they finally got it. What do you think of that? Do you think James Loney was not a good first baseman for the Dodgers, but getting Adrian Gonzalez has been like a way bigger improvement?
Well, the thing that's been coming from Dodger fans for the last 3-4 years, it's not that they don't like Loney. Loney's a great defender. You know, he can hit singles the other way. He's a good line drive single hitter, double hitter as well. But the presence that Adrian Gonzalez brings to that lineup, hitting behind of Matt Kemp, hitting in front of Hanser Ramirez. You also throw Andre Ethier and Shane Victorino into the mix. That's obviously a very strong lineup, possibly one of the best lineups in Major League Baseball now. And I think he's a big upgrade over James Loney because not only does Gonzalez bring his power back to the lineup, he affects the other players as well. You saw when Mike Trout got called up to the Angels how he not only affected the team by his play, but everybody else started to hit as well. It's just baseball. You know, baseball's that game where if one guy starts clicking, a whole group of guys starts clicking. It's a contagious thing. You know, with Adrian Gonzalez hitting like he was in Boston, then I think this Dodger team is going to coast to the finish line and find themselves in a playoff spot.
All right, cool. Actually, I want to get to another topic here. 3 minor league players suspended. Wow, more and more suspensions. The Office of the Commissioner of Baseball announced today that, actually this was from yesterday, that 3 minor league players have been suspended following their violations of the minor league drug prevention and treatment program. Do you think players are now doing more and more of drugs and, trying to get better, improving in baseball, Chris?
I don't know if it's more and more. I think that the system's just working better. Obviously, people have been using steroids for years now, and I'm sure there's a lot of people in the MLB today who are playing that have not been caught under steroids, but it's a positive sign for the MLB drug program. It's showing that guys are getting caught, the system is working, the tests are working. Guys who are taking PEDs are no longer, still playing out there under those circumstances. The thing that I was reading the other day is that, this is a scenario where either this drug system is working really well or it's not working well enough, and it's only catching some of the guys who go by it. But I think it's good for Major League Baseball that they're taking a charge and that they're seeing a lot of people suspended, so guys that are on it right now or are thinking about going to PEDs twice before they do those actions.
Totally agree with you, Chris. I mean, I kind of get it. Like, yeah, they've done it and they're catching more people, which is good. But when players do it way too much and more players get caught, it's going to be more people wanting to improve. Do you think that these drugs in the prevention program for MLB are more for improving your game, or just like they really just do it because they want to?
What's that again? Can you repeat that, please?
Well, like, what I'm trying to say is, like, do they just do the drugs because they want to improve their game better, or is it for another reason?
Oh, well, obviously, players that get suspended for, non-performance enhancing drugs and just regular drugs, they still get that 50-game suspension. They do that for whatever reason, if they have personal problems or have a serious addiction. The guys that are doing performance-enhancing drugs are no doubt to improve their game, trying to get to the premium spot and trying to move their way to the minor leagues. That's why you see all these minor leaguers get busted, because they're trying to move up. They're trying to beat the next guy ahead of them, and that's what minor leagues is all about in Major League Baseball. Their goal is to get to the show. And if you're struggling in single A, and a lot of guys are ahead of you, you get tempted to do things like take PEDs and take steroids and, be part of the Balco program. There's a lot of things that factor into it, but it doesn't make it right.
Alright, Chris, I actually want to get some predictions of some divisions going on, some tight ones. San Francisco and LA has been one of the big topics been talking about since the Dodgers got that huge trade. They're 3.5 back from San Francisco. Do you think the Dodgers can catch up?
I don't think so. I think that the Giants pitching staff is just too good at this point. They're both kind of showing life of being better in the ninth inning. And Seattle Castillo wasn't really getting the job at the back of the bullpen, but George Bochy is find a closer by committee situation where, like you saw tonight, he put Javi Lopez in because a lefty or multiple lefties will be coming up, and then other nights, if it's just righty on righty matchup, so Sergio Romo in there in the ninth inning. But I just think that it's going to take time for this Dodger team to come together and to gel. And, you saw how long it took the Angels to get together, and they're still not completely together, despite, they've been playing decently over the last week. I think this Dodger team is going to really, really shine in 2013, but I don't think this is the year for the Dodgers. They tried to put too many guys together too quickly, and that usually doesn't work, and I don't expect it to work for the Dodgers. So my prediction for the National League West is that the Giants are back on top.
All right, well, that's a good observation, Tristan. I've been watching SF games of the Giants. I'm a personal Giants fan myself, and I see that, their bullpen has, struggled without the closer position because we haven't really found a permanent guy. I know Santiago Castillo was in it and did really good, and then he struggled at it. Then we had to put in Javi. We had to try out Sergio, which is Chris is saying, which is good points. Yeah, their bullpen, they've been trying to test out that closer position. We have a great bullpen just for, the 7th, 8th inning. And that 9th inning, everyone, they just need to find their groove in that. And for the...
It's only going to get better next year with the return of Brian Wilson, who was my favorite closer to watch in the MLB. And, that's been a key part of why the Giants bullpen has struggled this year. You don't have a proven closer in there. You don't have an experienced closer in there. And, that's obviously going to hurt your team down the stretch. But the Giants can keep building that offense and their starting pitching can keep going deep in the ball games and limiting their bullpen usage, and I think it's not going to be a problem for the Giants. Definitely next year, it's going to be fun to watch when all those guys come back together from the bullpen. And you add a healthy Brian Wilson, it's only going to get better.
All right, well, let's go to the NL Central. I don't think it's much of a competition because St. Louis and Pittsburgh in the NL wildcard race, but Cincinnati 8 games ahead, having the best record in Major League Baseball. And we saw the Nationals a couple of weeks ago having that best record. Do you think Cincinnati is the best team right now, Chris?
I think so. I think you could make a strong argument that Cincinnati is the best team in the league. They have strength at every category. The only, knock I'd have at them at this point would be their starting pitching. But, Johnny Cueto has been so good. He just won his 17th game of the season last night. Matt Latos was a very, very solid pickup for the Reds, even though they did give up a lot to get him. Homer Bailey and Mike Leake have been decent. So, this team was poised to get back to the playoffs when this season started. Obviously, they didn't last year, but, they have a good 1-2 punch in the rotation in Cueto and Latos. They did solidify that bullpen at the trade deadline by acquiring Jonathan Broxton. Got Sean Marshall back there. They got, obviously, flame-throwing Aroldis Chapman as well, closing out ball games. He's basically automatic. He's also, I've heard him in the NL Cy Young discussion, which is something you rarely see from a reliever, but that's how good he has been. And obviously, the offense is still doing work with Joey Votto on the DL. He's supposed to come back in the coming days. It's just a matter of time before Joey Votto returns to that back lineup. So I think you can make a real argument that the Reds are the best in the MLB right now. Now, is that going to translate to a World Series title in October? Well, you never know. But I believe that when it comes to the playoffs for baseball, it's all about the team that's hottest going. And we saw it last year with the Cardinals. They certainly weren't the best team. They certainly weren't the most talented team. They were the hottest team. They were a streaking team. Came right into the playoffs and blew everybody away. So, certainly right now, though, I'd say on paper and the way they've been playing lately, Cincinnati Reds are probably the best team in MLB.
All right, well, let's go to one more NL prediction, then we'll take a break. Washington is 5 games ahead of Atlanta. Do you think Atlanta could catch up, or no? Or are they just going to be in that contention for the NL wild card?
I think that Atlanta has a real chance at catching up. Do I think it's going to happen? It's going to, it's going to be telling in the next week, I think, because if you don't make up any ground in the next week, it's going to be hard with about 3 weeks left in the season. Facing, a 5.5, game cushion that the Nationals have over the Braves right now. But I certainly think that the Braves have that experience now after going